Don in London, hello. May 7th, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction either to substance or behaviour. And I emphasise that at the beginning of my videos always, so you have a shrewd idea of what's coming. And I was addicted to alcohol. I don't know how long for, but I was a heavy drinker for a long time. I lived in a heavy drinking culture. It's called the United Kingdom. And 1 in 13 people in the adult population tend to get into difficulties around dependence on drink or substances or behaviour. So I'm not alone, thank goodness, and there are a lot of people out there in the world who have a clue how to live sober, and I guess I was very lucky. I had medical support, family support, community support, and the willingness in the end just to say, I cannot do this on my own anymore. And I've got to stop being frightened, I've got to stop isolating myself, and I've got to stop trying to use my willpower, my self-will, because self-will ran riot. And my best thinking got me into more drinking because I just couldn't cope, and I tried to find oblivion from myself. And how many times did I wake up in the morning thinking it would be better not to be here? I don't know, countless times, and that was in the last few years. So these days, a bit further on, and not drinking one day at a time, I have help, and I get most help via my fellowship, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, and I cannot speak for AA. No way. People who go to AA are unique and authentic, and when people come out of the room of an AA meeting, they're still unique and authentic. They only have one similarity, and that is being sober, or willing to be sober, or wishing to be sober, and actually being sober on a daily basis. So the gift for me in fellowship is I keep on hearing experience, strength and hope, and at the beginning of every meeting there is a preamble shared on this little card here, and I share it here because it slows me down into being in this one moment of reality, my reality, with as little denial as possible, and without filters, my thinking filters, so that my feelings and spiritual being can be. So my feelings, I don't know that they ever lie to me. I do know that my thinking would will them different. So I need daily sustenance, and part of that is doing prayer and meditation sometimes. I don't know whether I believe in God, or I'm an atheist or an agnostic. It just depends on how the day is going. And sometimes we exclaim, there is a God, and then sometimes we think, well, we think the other, don't we? Anyway, the preamble which is shared goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And you know, those words at the end really count for me. Primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So recovery is important, and sharing the message is equally important. And as we are all unique and authentic, and we have a right to be here, even though it might not seem so some of the time, we are all equal sized when it comes down to nature and providence. You know, we're all here on the same journey, but we are unique and authentic people. So the gift of AA for me is, I don't speak for it, cannot, will not, but I can share how it helps me on a daily basis. So that's what I do. And there are 12 steps of action for individuals, and 12 steps, 12 months, 1 a month. Step 5 for May reads as: admitted to God, to ourselves and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So when we admit it to a higher power, that where we are in terms of our balance of good and bad, which comes out of the fearless moral inventory, which is step 4, is making progress at an appropriate pace for ourselves. So we are unique and authentic, and the journey is slightly different for everybody, but we are similar, so we have enough of a connection to make community and society work, sometimes well and sometimes very badly. Anyway, that's where we're at. Evolution in our growth, spiritual growth, probably is best. I don't know about spiritual awakenings being bright sort of lightning bolts coming from the sky. Hasn't happened to me, and I haven't seen it happen to anybody else, but there is a tremendous relief in knowing that we're no bigger or smaller or less important than anybody else, and nobody can speak on our behalf. So that's me and how I see the world this morning. But it might change, because lots of people send me information which helps just understand me on a daily basis, let alone anything else. The Daily Reflections book I use here, which gives us a reading each day just to give us a bit of reflection and meditation. And it says here, respect for others. Such parts of our story we tell to someone who will understand yet be unaffected. The rule is we must be hard on ourselves, but always considerate of others. And this is all about step 5, sharing our assets and liabilities and what has happened to us with another human being. Sort of levels us out. Respect for others is the lesson I take out of this passage. I must go to any lengths to free myself if I wish to find that peace of mind that I have sought for so long, which is peace in the moment of now. However, none of this must be done at another's expense. Selfishness has no place in the AA way of life. When I take the 5th step, it's wiser to choose a person with whom I share common aims, because if that person does not understand me, my spiritual progress may be delayed and I could be in danger of a relapse. So I ask for divine guidance before choosing the man or woman whom I'm to take into my confidence. And I guess we do that if we're part of a religious body. But AA is not religious as such. It's very spiritual. But people who have got religious beliefs go there, as do agnostics and atheists. So the door is wide open. And as Bill sees it, and I like this reading, which I'm going to share on page 95, called Spiritual Kindergarten, just so you know what it looks like. Co-founder wrote some bits down as they learned more wisdom as they went along over the years. So, Spiritual Kindergarten. We are only operating a spiritual kindergarten in which people are enabled to get over drinking and find the grace to go on living to better effect, that is, seeing reality as it is. Each man's theology has to be his own quest, his own affair. So, we don't adopt the views, faith and opinions of others, we find our own. When the big book was being planned, some members thought it ought to be a Christian in its doctrinal sense. Others had no objection to the use of the word God, but wanted to avoid doctrinal issues. Spirituality, yes. Religion, no. Still others wanted a psychological book to lure the alcoholic in. Once in, he could take God or leave him alone as he wished. To the rest of us, this was shocking, but happily we listened. Our group conscience was at work to construct the most acceptable and effective book possible. Every voice was playing its appointed part. Our atheists and agnostics widened our gateway, so that all who suffer might pass through, regardless of their belief or their lack of belief. And you know what, that's so important, because it's very easy to fall into the trap of taking on and adopting the clothes of another person, when in fact what we need to do is be unique and authentic going in, coming out the same way, and dealing with our one similarity, which is to keep sober on a daily basis. And in the AA Big Book here, it's not the Bible, but it's pretty darn good, and it helps people do what they need to do to keep well. And it says on page 75, Into Action, a couple of paragraphs here. When we decide who is to hear our story, we waste no time. We have a written inventory, that's step 4. And we are prepared for a long talk. We explain to our partner what we are about to do and why we have to do it. He or she should realise that we are engaged on a life and death errand. Most people approached in this way will be glad to help. They will be honoured by our confidence. I guess that's true, because we try and pick somebody who can help us. We pocket our pride and go to it, illuminating every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past. Once we have taken this step, withholding nothing, we are delighted. We can look the world in the eye. We can be alone at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall away from us. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator and at oneness with nature and providence. We may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. The feeling that the drink problem has disappeared will often come strongly. We feel we are on the broad highway, walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. And well, that's so good, the spirit of the universe. So it allows people to be whoever they are from what they believe in, without hindrance, or let or hindrance, as people say. So when I say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, it is just for one day, and it is a spiritual experience of reality without filters or denials.